Welcome to the JC Mosley FC podcast, where we are
Welcome, guys.
obsessed with football. My name is Elliot, and I am here with my best friend.
Yes, my name is Jean-Christian, or you can call me Christian, um, because it's easier to say. But yeah, we are obsessed with football, and this podcast is pretty much about talking about football, about different topics. The Champions League, Euros, Copa America, anything you can think of.
Pretty much anything football related that we want to talk about, or anything that's interesting that's happening in the football world, that's what we're going to be discussing. Yeah, so maybe we should introduce ourselves since this is season one, episode one. My name's Elliot. I am from England. Lived there till I was 15. Been in the US now for about 15 years. And yeah, we've been good friends for 10 years
Nine
maybe.
years,
It's like 10
almost 10.
years. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much 10 years. Yeah. So
So
yeah,
yeah, we met in college. We were kind of became good friends in college through connecting about football and both being Chelsea fans. Yeah, I don't know. You can introduce yourself as well now. I'll let you go.
yeah. So as I was saying, my name is Jean-Christian, but I go by Christian. And I'm from Cote d'Ivoire, Ivory Coast, West Africa. Didier Drogba's country, or Yaya Toure, Kolo Toure, all those guys. But yeah, that's where I'm from originally. I live in the US for 10 years now, going through 11 years this year. And yeah, as Alex was saying, we met in college and we've been friends for 10 years. We both love Chelsea Football Club. We we believe it's the greatest club in the world. No, not trying to offend anybody. But yeah, we just love the sport so much. And we actually talk a lot about football throughout the week and whenever there's a game going on. So we're like, okay, why not, start a podcast and just talk about it and, share our views to the world and
Yeah,
stuff like that. Yeah.
and this, I mean, this is absolutely going to be not just a Chelsea podcast. We love Chelsea. Chelsea's our team. Will always be our team forever till the day we die. But we want to be as neutral as we can as well about when we're talking about other teams, and we just love football. I mean, Chelsea obviously is number one, but we just love football.
Absolutely. We won't be just talking about Chelsea and Chelsea problems. Right now, we're not doing too good. Obviously, we want to give our opinion. I mean, that's what's going to make the podcast, give our opinion. We're also going to have some guests that will also bring their opinions to the podcast. And, that are supporting different teams, of course, that will come in and like give their opinion about the sport. And I think that'll be a really good ride and really fun.
Yeah, it's gonna be great. We're both really excited. So why don't we just dive straight into it? We thought that it would be kind of a good idea to start talking about some international football because as we are recording this, we're just coming off of the March international break. Been we haven't been able to watch any of our actual club at the moment, but we've had some international football going on. So we thought maybe we could recap the Asian Cup and then, of course, for you, Christian, the AFCON. I mean, what a fantastic tournament that was for you, right?
It was honestly it was the best tournament ever. I know I'm not saying that because it was hosted in Cote d'Ivoire and Ivory Coast. Obviously, I'm trying to be as neutral as possible in this, but it's just fact. I heard that about 2 billion people watched the AFCON during the tournament, and
Wow.
usually the AFCON gets like 500 million. It's very low compared to the Euros and other tournaments. So this was by far the most successful tournament. Um, but by viewership and also by entertainment, it was very entertaining. So many crazy games. Obviously, it was amazing for us for Cote d'Ivoire to come back and win the whole tournament despite how we started. We lost, got humiliated at home 4-0 against the team that Equatorial Guinea. I mean, it's not necessarily a big team, not necessarily, but they beat us 4-0 at home in our own competition. So that was it's just terrible.
Yeah.
But we came back and we beat Senegal, which is a great team. We really suffered. Mali, we played 10 against 11 pretty much towards the whole game. We also beat DRC, Democratic Republic of Congo, and it would be Nigeria in the final. So that was an amazing tournament for us Ivorians. We're champions of Africa right now, and I'm very proud of what we did. Very proud
Yeah.
of it.
And then Ivory Coast, I mean, coming third in their group and just about scraping by to the knockouts with the one of the best third place finishes and firing their coach in between the tournament. I mean, like that's unheard of, right? Like that you fire a coach in the middle of a tournament and they go on to win the whole thing. It's crazy.
Yeah, it was insane. The moment we lost 4-0, I was like, I really didn't see us going through. As football fans, we both know that um, things can happen, like there was still a chance, but I really didn't think we were gonna go through. Because we're pretty much like really dead, honestly. It's like, we're like we came back to life after Morocco beat Zambia in the last game. And I remember I was so happy. And I remember like seeing on TikTok how everybody in Ivory Coast was like going on the streets and just celebrating like we won the whole tournament because it was like, okay, at least we went to the round of 60. It's not that
Yeah.
terrible. And then obviously, just the way we played, the way we beat those teams, it was just amazing. But as we were saying earlier, the tournament was just amazing. I've seen so many games. Like Gambia and Cameroon was like, Gambia was winning like 2-0 until like to the 80th, 85th minute. And then Cameroon beat them. Like how, that's amazing. And I feel like that was very entertaining. I'm really proud as an African to see how our football has grown and it just keeps getting better. Honestly, for the moment, I mean, I watched football my whole life, and I can definitely see how we're getting closer and closer to Europe. We're still very far from Europe, but we're getting closer to it, and that's what I wanted to see. So I'm very happy with how the tournament went. You know,
Yeah, and I would say it kind of felt like there was a lot more focus and attention on African football because of this tournament and how amazing it was. And I think too with the last World Cup with Morocco getting to the semi-finals, like how big that was for African football. I mean, we're just seeing it's growing and growing, and it's just going to keep getting better, I think.
absolutely, and we're getting 10 spots to the World Cup this year
Yeah.
in 2026. So this is like it's amazing. I'm gonna see 10 African teams at the World Cup. I think in nine, technically nine, and then you have like a one for international. They have international like spot. You have
Yeah.
like four different continents fighting for one spot, but it's nine. We used to have only at five. Uh,
Hmm.
so every time there was a World Cup, we're missing some big teams. Let's say if Egypt was there, Cameroon wasn't there, Nigeria was there, Ghana wasn't there, or Ivory Coast wasn't there. So now I
Yeah.
feel like there's no excuse for the big nations now. If they're not at the World Cup, that means they're not good enough. There's no more excuse. So I'm really excited to see it. And I hope that, I just want to see my dream is to see an African team win the World Cup one day. That's my dream. I really will. I don't care what team. Obviously, if Scott d'Ivoire, that'll be even better. But
Yeah.
any Africa, I was so proud how what Morocco did at the World Cup. And, they went there and they just the whole of Africa was behind them.
Hmm.
Every single African that loved the sport was behind Morocco because we wanted to prove something that we are also good as we can be as good as other countries, other continents.
Yeah.
And that was an amazing, amazing time.
It was pretty cool.
And
Uh,
let's not forget about the Asian Cup, of course.
yeah.
That went on at the same time as the AFCON, and it was a pretty good tournament. I've seen some of it. Like South Korea, beating like they were losing until the very last minute. They tied the game, and they went to the PKs. They won, and then Qatar, the host, won the whole tournament. It was a pretty good fun tournament to watch.
Yeah, I have to be honest, I really didn't follow the Asian Cup as much. I think I was much more gripped by AFCON and with them both going on at the same time and still in the middle of the Premier League season too. I don't know. The Asian Cup unfortunately was one thing too many for me to keep track of. I would love to say I had all the time in the world to sit and watch football all day every day, but
Yeah, that
nah,
is
I
true.
mean,
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I wasn't able to obviously to watch it as much as the AFCON, but I just kind of saw I kind of wanted to see more, learn more about this. But yeah, it was a pretty good tournament, honestly, too.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then of course this summer coming up, we have two other big continental tournaments. We've got the Euros happening, and then we have Copa America, which is actually happening out here in the US. I know we'd talked about trying to go to some games. We'll have to see if we can make that happen. But
Yeah, we have to. Yeah,
why don't we start with Copa America? What are your kind of predictions, or what do you think are the teams
it's
to look out
very
for?
it's very hard to predict the Copa America because I feel like, you have a lot of good teams that are pretty much the same level in South America right now. Brazil is not doing too good. They haven't been winning games um, lately in South America. And I still think, obviously, you have to put Brazil in a lot. Brazil is still Brazil. No matter what, they're always the favorites. They're one of the favorites. Yeah, Brazil. Argentina, of course, World Cup champion. They have Leo Messi. Any team that has Leo Messi, automatic. It doesn't matter how old he is.
Yeah,
Automatic, one of the favorites. And Colombia is actually doing really great lately. They've been beating, I think they lost maybe only like one or two games the past couple of years. I don't know exactly, but they've been doing really well lately. Um, but I really think that's in the top three. This are my top three for me. Obviously, I love the US to win a Copa America if possible. But let's just be realistic there. I don't see them winning it, honestly. But I see Brazil, Colombia, or Argentina for me. What about you,
yeah.
Elliot?
No, I agree. I think when you're talking about South American football, Brazil and Argentina are always going to be favorites, no matter how good or bad they've been recently. I mean, obviously, like you said, Argentina world champions currently, so they're probably going to go in as favorites. Brazil just beat England the other day, so England don't lose a lot at Wembley. I think even though they're not at the same level as maybe they were 10, 15, 20 years ago. You can never write them off.
Yeah,
um,
absolutely.
I don't know. I think the USA hosting maybe have a chance of going a bit further than they would if they were not hosting, just to have that home advantage. But it's Brazil or Argentina for me, I think.
Yeah, I think that, yeah, definitely. These are the three. But I feel like I put Colombia in the mix because of how good they've been lately. And they
Yeah.
have really good players. Right now they are a really solid team. And I think they have a good chance of winning the whole thing. But as you were saying, we both have to agree here. It's gonna be either Brazil or Argentina. Yeah.
Um,
And obviously you have the Euros.
right.
1966, man, it's been too long, man. You guys, England has to win something. Like, there's no more. I'm tired of the excuses. I mean, I'm a huge football fan, and like, obviously I'm a Chelsea fan, and I love the UK, just the culture and everything, and then obviously the football culture. It's huge there. So I really think that there's no more excuse. Like, you guys have everything. You have everything. Like, you used to have terrible goalkeepers in 2010, for example. Terrible goalkeepers. I mean, I'm not trying to offend you or anything,
No,
Elliot,
it's
but you know
true.
I'm right
It's
there.
true.
So you can be like, okay, you didn't win the World Cup because you didn't have a good goalkeeper. Okay. Maybe there was sometimes, you didn't have really good defenders. You had like mid-table defenders that were like England starters. But
Yeah.
now you have world-class players at every single spot, like starters at the biggest clubs in England or Real Madrid, Bellingham. Honestly, there's no more excuse for England. I feel like this is the year to win something and just like stop the haters saying, "Oh, 1966." Like, you guys have to win the Euros.
Yeah, I
I
agree. I think I'm still hurting from the previous Euro final that we lost at home at Wembley on penalties. And I think the fact that we started the game so well probably could have kept up the intensity. And I mean, we could have won that game easily, but that's how it goes in international football. You get punished for one mistake and the game changes, and it is what it is. But I agree. I think you look at the team, and I think especially you look at Harry Kane, Saka, Jude Bellingham, Declan Rice. I think those are four players that get into any team anywhere in the world right now. If we don't win the Euros, we're going to look back and we're going to go, this was the era of we nearly did it. We were
Yeah,
we
I mean,
we had
2000,
so
yeah.
much potential, but we couldn't do it. Yeah.
Yeah. Like in 2006, for example, I remember you guys had a really good team. Like, you had everything on the pitch. Like Lampard, Gerrard, on this, and Paul Scholes. And then you
Yeah,
had
Beckham, Rooney as
Rooney.
well.
Oh my God, this was 2006 was prime England. And
Yeah,
I feel like this team right now in 2024 reminds me a lot of that team. And if this generation doesn't win anything, you will have a lot of regrets. And I feel like it's been too long for such a big nation as the. I mean, I don't care like what people say. Oh, even France has more World Cups, but you have to also look at the history. England is like,
hmm,
I mean, that's where football came from. Like, I know, like people say, okay, it was technically invented in China and stuff, but the rules, the reason why we have 90 minutes, the reason why we have a yellow red card, the reason why we have all those specific rules is from England, the
yeah,
UK, and yeah, nobody can say the otherwise. So I feel like just just for that, I feel like England deserves to win something. You guys have an amazing generation. Foden, I can go on. Like you have Bukayo Saka, you have amazing players.
yeah.
Like there's no more excuse. You guys can literally, you can beat anybody. Like you can take the French team right in front of you guys can literally match player by player. Like I know
Hmm.
that French is an amazing team, Mbappe, all those guys, but England can beat them. On paper, England is the best team in Europe, right? On paper, if you look at it. But unfortunately, I don't, to be honest, Elliot, I'm not too convinced with your coach. The Southgate, I mean, he's done a really good job. You guys go far in the tournaments further than before. I just, I'm not convinced with that coach you guys can win a tournament. I'm sorry. I don't know why. I don't
Yeah,
know why,
I
man.
think the perception definitely among England fans is, Southgate has done a really, really good job integrating the players, getting them to play well together, putting aside the club rivalries that we used to have when players come and play for England, and really like getting players excited about playing for their country. But what he's maybe not so good at is maybe his tactical approach and kind of his in-game management is questioned a lot. And I think there's some questions about his record against some of the higher ranked teams. And, the missed opportunities is what we look back on. I mean, World Cup 2018, that was the easiest on paper route to a final that we have had in a long, long time and probably will have in a long, long time. And, that game against Croatia losing in extra time, I mean, that's a team that I mean, not trying to be arrogant, we would expect to beat. No
Yeah,
disrespect.
definitely. Mhm.
Um, and, Italy as well in the 2020 final, which I guess was in 2021 technically. I mean, they had a great tournament, but again, on paper, like man for man, I would I'd pick England's players every time, that
Yeah.
started that final, but it was a missed opportunity. And then, we had the Nations League as well, the first Nations League. We got to the semi-final of that, lost. It's there's definitely questions about we get close, but not quite close enough, and a lot of people feel like maybe that is Gareth Southgate's tactical decision making and in-game management that maybe costs us a little bit. But, you know, I've seen England get to a final in my lifetime. I was not convinced 10 years ago that I would ever see that in my life. I've seen England in a World Cup semi-final. I never thought I'd see that. So we have some great memories. And even if it's, more nearly at the end of the day, each World Cup, there's only four teams that make it to the semi-finals. There's only two teams that make it to the finals of the Euros.
Yeah.
So to be one of those, last few teams left in a major international tournament is not something to be
Take for granted. Yeah.
um too disappointed about. I mean, obviously, I'm still disappointed about 2018. I'm still disappointed about Euro 2020, but it is what it is. I mean, obviously, there's other teams that look like they could be favorites for the Euros. What do you think about some of the other candidates?
So, I think Germany, they're playing at home and they have a new coach now that is, I've always been impressed by that coach with his tactics. I don't know, like, every team that he manages, he's doing so great. He's doing it with Leipzig, and then he did it with Bayern Munich, and and now he's doing it with Germany. And I feel like that coach has always impressed me. He almost coached Chelsea. I don't know if you heard about that.
I
And
did,
actually,
yeah.
he rejected Chelsea. I don't want to go with Chelsea right now. And I'm really upset with what's going on with Chelsea. But anyways, I think the coach is an amazing coach. I love his tactics, and they're playing at home. They had two terrible World Cups. 2018, 2022. They crashed out in the not even in the round of 16. They crashed in the group stage, and they're gonna want to come back, play at home, and prove to their countrymen that they are still Germany. That's the Germany that everybody feared, because the way I grew up watching the sport is that whenever you play in Germany, you're pretty much done. You pretty that's the end for you.
Hmm.
Whenever where are we playing next? Germany? Okay. We're going home next. Definitely,
Yeah.
So, Germany was always going to the semifinal every time, 2008 they went to the final in 2008. 2010 they went to semifinal of the World Cup. 2012 they went to semifinal of the Euros. I believe that Germany has really good potential to winning the tournament. I feel like they're gonna try to come back and really prove to themselves that they're Germany again. And it's gonna be hard to beat them, but I also see Portugal. Um, you know, it, I'm a Ronaldo fan. I'm a huge Ronaldo fan. I love Ronaldo and Messi. I'm not into that thing like, oh, Messi is better, Ronaldo's better. I think they're both great. They're both amazing players. We're both lucky to have witnessed them, in our lifetime, because we're gonna have to tell it to our grandkids and be like, hey, there was like Ronaldo and Messi they played, and then they didn't really get to witness that. So what I'm trying to say is that I feel like Portugal has a good chance. Spain too is good. Spain is always Spain. Spain is really good, and they haven't won anything in a while, so they're probably gonna want to come back and like try to, you know, beat everybody. Obviously it's not a single 2012. Oof, you remember that team, Elliot? Like,
Yeah, it was
oh
crazy.
my God, dude! Like every time that team was playing, I was just amazed. My mom, I swear to God, I was like that.
Yeah.
Every time we were playing the passes, it was like perfect football. It was amazing to watch. Yeah, but of course, we don't want to go too much in detail about the Euros, because whenever it gets close to the tournament, in the upcoming episode, we're gonna be talking more deeply about it. I'll talk about the groups and everything. But if I have to pick a favorite, I really believe Germany for me is gonna win the tournament. What about you, Elliot?
My,
Who's
my
gonna win?
heart says England. My head says probably France. Hoping it's not more disappointment, but yeah, we'll see. I'm excited. It's gonna be great. All right. So, the main purpose of this first episode is to preview the upcoming Champions League quarterfinals. I've got some statistics written down here for each one, and we're just going to kind of talk about how we think the games are going to go, any big talking points, etc., that kind of thing. Why don't we start with Arsenal and Bayern Munich? It's kind of one of the. I mean, they're all pretty good ties. Let's be honest. All four
Let's
of the
be honest. Yeah,
ties are
yeah.
prime
He
Champions
started very
League.
poorly. He started very poorly. Like round of 16 I was very not impressed. I mean, it was kind of very predictable. And I feel like most teams that, if not all the teams that we knew were going to go through, went through. And usually the Champions League, there's always like one or two upsets. So,
Yeah,
but the quarterfinals, I'm not disappointed at all. I feel like these are really good quarterfinals. And I'm going to try to be as neutral as possible in this one, because obviously we are Chelsea fans. And I don't know how it's going to go, but it's not the same Arsenal of like 2 or 3 years ago. It's Arsenal of like 2004 kind of level of Arsenal. So let's just respect them too.
yeah, and
But I just feel like
we
because of the history, and because of like just the history, because Bayern is a lot more experience, I just don't think Arsenal is gonna go through. And again, it's not because I'm a Chelsea fan. It's just I just stuck on paper, I don't see them going through.
yeah. Um, I mean, I'm predisposed to not like Arsenal as a Chelsea fan. But I think I have to agree with you. Looking at the last three times Arsenal and Bayern met in the Champions League, Bayern won all three of those 5-1. Um, I don't think they're gonna win 5-1 again this time. I think it's gonna be a lot closer than that.
Mhm.
Um, this is the first time Arsenal have been in the quarterfinals of the Champions League since they lost 6-3 on aggregate to Barcelona in the 09-10 season. Um, so it's been a long time since Arsenal have been in the quarterfinals. Obviously, Bayern Munich, right, you'd expect them to be in the quarterfinal every season at the
Yeah.
moment in the last few years. They they do have a good record against English teams. I was looking at the statistics. Um,
Even Chelsea. Yeah.
but in the last three seasons, they've been out in the quarterfinals. So they lost last season, they lost to Man City. The season before, they lost to Villarreal. And then the season before that, they lost to PSG. And then, of course, the season before that was the COVID season when they won
You
the
won.
kind of
Yeah.
mini tournament. So,
Yeah. That
um,
was one leg. Let's just remind everybody, it was one leg starting, I think, in the quarters. Yeah, starting the quarters
yeah,
was one leg, and then you will not go home, and it's not the same, But I mean, we're not gonna take it away from them. They won the Champions League, whatever,
yeah.
no matter
And
what.
I think I agree with what you said too. I think we have to put Bayern probably as favorites, although I don't know. I mean, how close do you think it's going to be? Do you think we're going to see a close game, or do you think the inexperience of Arsenal at the Champions League stage will catch up to them, or I don't know.
I mean, like I said before, like Arsenal, it's not the same Arsenal like 3 or 4 years ago that we're making fun of. That they won in the Champions League. It's a title. They're in the title race right now, and then we are in April. So definitely, I think that I really believe that Arsenal, they're gonna put up a fight, a good fight. They're not gonna go down easy, but I don't think it's gonna be close necessarily, just because I feel like Bayern Munich and they just have it's just Bayern Munich. I just don't see those players just like losing to Arsenal. Unfortunately for Arsenal, especially because also they have Thomas Tuchel, even though it didn't work out with him at Chelsea. Again, I don't want to go in details because every time I think about all the stuff the owner Chelsea or the new owners are doing at Chelsea, it's just like it makes you upset. But I'm not
Yeah,
gonna go into details with that. But I really think that you know I, I think Arsenal is gonna put up a good fight. It's gonna be a really good game, entertaining game, but I don't think it's gonna be close necessarily. But it's gonna be probably like maybe by 2 goals,
mm,
with the on both legs, probably like I see Bayern Munich beating by 2 goals. Um, but yeah, I just think that's going to be good for us. I mean, if I were an Arsenal fan, I'll be happy because we fight the Champions League quarterfinals in how many years, So that'd be good. I mean, that would still be a success for them. I just
yeah,
don't think they're gonna go through. That's my opinion, honestly. I definitely see Bayern Munich going through in this round.
yeah. Well, one of the other things I have written down here is Tottenham's all-time leading scorer, Harry Kane, leading the line for Bayern Munich. He's scored 14 goals against Arsenal in 19 games. He he loves a goal against Arsenal. So um, I can definitely see him scoring at the Emirates. Um, and that's just the kind of thing that happens in football a lot. I can see it happening again for sure.
Yeah, I see that.
Yeah,
And
I
he's a
think
Tottenham fan. Like, is he really gonna want Arsenal to go with the Champions League as a Tottenham like
he
legend?
he's going to be more motivated, isn't he? To
He's not gonna let that happen.
Yeah.
And
So
on
I
top of that, like he left Tottenham to win the Champions League. So like he's
yeah,
he's gonna give everything. Yeah.
yeah. I I think we're both in agreement. I think we see Bayern going through, maybe not 5-1 to Bayern in both legs.
I really don't see it happen. And it's a big Arsenal. It's an Arsenal that is really good. Let's just be honest. It's like
Yeah.
a top Arsenal right now, and I wouldn't want to face them. I will try to avoid that team. They're really good right now. I just don't think they're ready to take that step to win the Champions League yet.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on to Real Madrid, Man City. Another big tie, another meeting between these two teams because of course they've met each other. This is the third time now in the last three Champions League seasons that they've met. Real won in 2021-22. Man City won last season, and then obviously, both of those teams ended up going on to win the Champions League that season that they beat each other. So, um, I guess do we think that the winner of this tie is going to be the winner of the Champions League? That's my first question.
I hope not. Let's just be honest. Like, I love Real Madrid. It's a big club. I mean, Ronaldo played there. So many legends. Both Ronaldos, like the original one and the new
Yeah.
one. Zidane, amazing player too. I love Real Madrid. It's such a great club, amazing club. But I'm just tired of them winning. I feel like they need to sit out for, a few years. Let other people win it. And Manchester City, I don't like Manchester City. I'm a Chelsea fan. But I just think that I don't want Manchester City to win another Champions League right away. You know what I mean? But I honestly think that we're probably gonna see Manchester City win this tie. That's just my opinion on this.
Mm,
Because Manchester City, honestly, they have that team. Whatever Pep created is just a team that nobody want to face. And I feel like it's gonna be very, very close. It might even go to the PKs. I think so. I think it might even go to penalty kicks. But I definitely see Real Madrid. No, sorry, Manchester City winning this tie. Probably maybe a last minute goal or something, or like a own goal. It's gonna be very close, but it's gonna
mm,
be two very entertaining games. It's gonna be like how we know in football whenever like two really good teams play, it's gonna be in the details. It's gonna go back to the basics. You know what I mean?
mm.
I feel like sometimes whenever you watch a Champions League, we think about tactics too much, but it's the basics. Are you gonna mark your player? Defense, crosses. Are you gonna be selfish and not pass the ball? You know what I mean? It's gonna be back to the basics, and it's the team that plays doesn't make mistakes that is gonna win. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I I think
What do
in
you think?
my opinion, this is the hardest one to call out of all of the quarterfinals. Because both teams are just so good and both teams have a lot of Champions League experience and a lot of players with a lot of Champions League experience. I agree. I think we could be looking at a tie going to extra time, penalties even, um, or it taking one mistake in one of the games that decides it. It's going to be a close one. I think I personally don't see Real Madrid losing at home.
Mhm.
Um, they have a very good record against English teams at home. The only team, by the way, I have to mention this because we're Chelsea fans, the only team from England to ever beat Real Madrid at home is Chelsea.
Yep.
We still lost the tie, but we beat them at home, so we'll take what we can get.
Yep.
um, but Man City are just so strong at the Etihad as well, and like you said, Pep has just put together this team that's, I mean, nobody wants to play against, and they just keep finding a way to score goals and win games. And I I can't really. I mean, if it's like I said, it's such a hard one to pick. But if I had to pick, I think City are just slight favorites.
Yeah, that's the thing. I totally agree with you on this one. Is that both teams? It's very hard to pick. Um, but I just believe that Manchester City is going to go through for some reason. I have that feeling, at least based on the statistics and how the teams have been playing lately. And I just feel like it's going to be very close. But I see Manchester City going through. What about the next tie? I think
Cool.
we have these two teams, PSG and Barcelona. Those two teams, man. Barcelona is the first time in how many years? Like 3 or 4 years in quarters for them.
Yeah, Barcelona's, let's see, I have it written down here again. Barcelona's last um quarterfinal appearance was that 2020 COVID season, and that was the absolutely hilarious 8-2.
Oh wow, that was embarrassing. And like, was it Messi's last season
It was
with
Messi's last
Barcelona?
season at
Oh man.
Barcelona as well, which was kind of tragic, but at the same time kind of funny.
Yeah, it was funny, man. I mean, they've been trashing. I mean, prime Barcelona was trashing teams left
Yeah.
and right. Yeah, it was a funny season, honestly, because it was COVID, there was a lot of things going on, the 8-2. But I feel like it's gonna be a really good tie. And this is gonna be very hard to predict. Um, who's gonna win. But I think that this is the probably the tie that I'm looking forward to the most because it's gonna be very entertaining because it's most likely Mbappe's last season at PSG. So he's gonna give
Yeah.
everything he can to try to win the Champions League with PSG because if he does, that'll be amazing. That's probably worth 3 Champions Leagues, honestly, because of how they've been running after the Champions League for the past over a decade now. They've been buying Neymar, Messi, they haven't won, and then he pretty much is the only like superstar
Hmm.
on that team, and he wins it. I feel it's gonna be amazing for him. But I feel like Barcelona, as much as they've been good lately, they won the Liga last season, and Xavi is doing an amazing job. I don't even know why he's leaving, but it's whatever.
Yeah.
But like I feel like um I see PSG going through because of Mbappe. I just have to say Mbappe because of Mbappe, just because of him. I feel like he's gonna like get a hat trick out of nowhere whenever everybody thinks the team is done, and this time he's gonna pull this off. I think
Yeah. Well,
that's my yeah
I'm thinking back to the 2022 World Cup final, 2-0 down against Argentina
yeah.
and enter Mbappe in the last 15 minutes of the match or whatever it was, and he pretty much single-handedly dragged them through to extra time. Um you just can't write him out or you can't write him off.
Mhm.
And he's just got that instinctive finishing that every
Wow.
team dreams of having a player like that. So,
Have you seen
um,
his celebration? He does like that. Do you
yeah.
know the story of it? Have you seen
No,
the
I
story of it?
don't. No.
So like, okay, okay. Obviously, I'm not gonna say it in French. It's just better to say it in French. But I'm gonna say it in French. But like, it's like he runs towards the goalkeeper, and like the way he turns his body, he's like, okay, I'm gonna take it, shoot it over there, and the goalkeeper is like kind of like aiming there, but obviously he's trying to close the angle,
Yeah.
and then he just goes inside and then shoot it like right on that tiny small angle. So that's why he does that. He's like every time he runs, it goes like that.
Yeah.
That's what he does.
And it's
And
so hard to
Mbappe
defend
is like, yeah.
against.
And I am like, I love his playing style. I love the way he plays. What he does on the team. He really brings a lot on the team. Obviously, he's not a defender. Like you cannot ask him to defend it for his life, to save his life. He's not good at it. But give him the ball if you want to score, if you want to win games, give it to Mbappe, and he can score at any time. And I feel
Mhm.
like just because of him, I think PSG is gonna have just enough to go through. Um, and they have the experience. You can say, oh, because they don't have enough experience in Barcelona. I mean, it's a new Barcelona team. I'm not convinced with the players they have that they're gonna beat PSG.
Yeah. Well, and if you look too at their starting 11 now versus the starting 11 of that 8-2 against Bayern Munich, I mean, there's not many players that remain from that team.
Yeah, they
Um,
all they all left. Inter
um,
Miami is like the new El Dorado now. It
it's
looks like.
true. Yeah. Obviously Barcelona have Lewandowski as well, who we know is, been a prolific goal scorer in the Champions League. I think this is going to be a close one, and I think this is probably going to be one of the most entertaining ones. I can see this being quite a high scoring um tie over the two legs. But I think there's something about having someone like Kylian Mbappe in your team. I mean that can be the difference between, a good team and a great team. And um
And then
yeah.
I want to do a sidetrack here before we continue. Do you realize how scary if Mbappe joins Real Madrid? Do you realize how scary that would be? Like, I would just like every time it's Madrid, I'll just be like, okay, you win. Because Rodrigo,
Hmm.
Vinicius, Bellingham, and like
Yeah.
I would be so like if I were a manager playing in Real Madrid the night before, I would be having nightmares. I swear.
Hmm.
Like you have Mbappe there, Vinicius there. Rodrigo, the Bellingham. You're like, how am I gonna defend against that?
Yeah. Yeah.
And this can be scary because all those players are relatively young. I mean, I know Mbappe is like 25 now. He's not the same like 18, 20-year-old kid anymore. He's 25. He's pushing to close, getting closer to his 30s now. But he's still like 25 is young, so they probably have like 10 years. If
Hmm.
Madrid is also known to keep the players for a long time, you
Yeah.
know. So like 10 years of dominating Europe and stuff, like I feel like this is everybody's last chance to win the Champions League, man, at this point. That's how I feel about it. But
Yeah.
it's yeah, it's crazy, man. I'm scared for, especially if Chelsea gets by the Champions League, like I would not want to face Real Madrid.
You fear that they're going to be the dominant team in Europe for, like you said, the next 10 years.
I mean,
Um.
it could also go wrong because remember in the early 2000s the Galacticos.
Hmm.
Like I remember that team. Like there was every time I see them play, I was like, why aren't they winning anything? And I think they only won like one La Liga or something
I think
together.
they won it just the once at
Yeah,
that
with
kind of
Beckham.
era of all of those superstars that they bought. Yeah, the Galacticos.
So it could go wrong, but it could go right at the same time. But I just feel like because of how the team is right now, and it's already too good. If you
Hmm.
add Mbappe on top of it, I just don't see how, unless Mbappe turns into a Hazard, Eden Hazard. You know, I just don't see. Maybe he comes. I mean, I hope that doesn't happen because I want him to keep performing because he's a young player. I want him to win trophies. I want him to have a great career that he deserves.
Yeah.
But maybe he's gonna turn into Hazard, and then he's not gonna do well. I don't know. But if that team works out as planned, we are all cooked. Like we can just pack up and go home, and
Yeah.
nobody's gonna stop Real Madrid. I'm
It's
telling
I think you're
you.
right. Yeah. But so back to this tie then. You think we're both kind of pushing or not pushing. We're both in agreement that we think PSG will probably win that and get to the
Yeah,
semis.
yeah, man. I see PSG winning this. I feel like he's gonna be. I don't think it's really close. I feel like it's gonna be about the same as Bayern Munich and uh and Arsenal, where it's gonna be a good game. It's not gonna be one-sided, but I feel like PSG will win it, not comfortably, but will win it like maybe by 2 goals or 1 goal, like just fine. I feel like they're gonna win. I feel like I see Mbappe scoring maybe 2 or 3 goals in this tie, and I just don't think Barcelona has what it takes to beat, especially because Luis Enrique is a former Barcelona teams and Barcelona manager. Even though it's not the same Barcelona, he knows Barcelona, and I feel like
Yeah.
it's gonna be an advantage for PSG definitely.
Yeah. So for the yeah, we have then one more tie that we're looking at is Atletico Madrid and Borussia Dortmund. Two teams that I think if you're probably looking at it, even though they are both teams with a lot of Champions League experience, they're probably looking at those teams being the outsiders to win the tournament, is my opinion. But I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, definitely outsiders. But the Champions is possible. It's totally possible for. I mean, Chelsea was an outsider both times we won the Champions League. Let's be honest, 2012,
Yeah.
2021. Um, I think it's going to be a very entertaining game. I think it's going to be very close, just as close as the Real Madrid and Manchester City tie. Unfortunately, it's probably going to be the least watched tie among all these, but it's going to be very entertaining. But I feel like both teams are going to rely on their defense, especially. I mean, Atletico Madrid is known for that. They're just
Hmm.
like defense, and then counterattacks, maybe some magic up front, but it's mostly defense. I feel it's gonna be very close. I won't be. I will not say it'll be boring, but it's gonna be low scoring, and I think that Atletico is gonna win because of like the current form. Antoine Griezmann is doing amazing right now. Really good player, and that team is good. And I honestly think that if I were to pick an outsider, it would be Atletico to win the whole thing, the Champions League. But since we are only the quarterfinal stages right now, I will pick Bayern Munich. Sorry, Atletico Madrid over Dortmund.
Yeah, this is where I think, in my opinion, I think this maybe won't be as close as we think. It, it seems like Dortmund maybe are struggling a little bit, with their current form, and I think what really convinces me that Atletico is going to be the far stronger team in this tie is their coach, Simeone. I mean, he's been there for so long. He set the identity of that team. He set the way that they want to play. You know what you're going to get. It's hard to play against. It can be frustrating to watch sometimes. But it's very effective, and they win games. And I think you I look at the Dortmund team, and I a little bit struggle to see where the creativity is coming from.
Mhm.
Obviously, Sebastian Aller up front
Yeah,
um,
UCL definitely.
is a threat always. I mean, going back to talking about AFCON, he came up with some pretty important goals at AFCON, especially in the final.
And also, I think he's the record man of like 10 goals in like the group stages in the Champions League. Maybe not the record man, but like one of
Oh,
the
okay.
top scorers ever,
Yeah.
to score like 10 goals in he did that whenever he was with Ajax, Amsterdam. And I mean, he has Champions League experience. So I feel
Hmm.
like I think he's fit now. He came back from AFCON injured. I think he's fit now, so he can really help that team go far. As much as I would love for him to go through, because he's from Ivory Coast, but I really believe that Atletico is gonna win this game. Um, it's gonna win this tie and go through, just because obviously they have the experience and I feel like they are really excited I can win the whole thing and surprise
Yeah.
everybody. And
Well,
and honestly, if I had to pick as a neutral, because Chelsea's not there, I would want them to win. I wouldn't want any of them, the other person to win. But let's just say Mbappe too. It'd be nice for Mbappe, honestly, to win the tournament before he goes to Real Madrid. And we also be good for France because they haven't won anything since 1993, the Champions League 1993. It is supposed to be like one of the top countries in Europe, and
hmm
so, anyways.
yeah. We're thinking Bayern Munich,
Hmm.
probably Man City, but that one's going to be really, really close.
Yeah.
PSG and Atletico to go through over the two legs. Um, next next time when we have our next episode, will more than likely probably be after these ties are over. So we'll be able to see how accurate or how wrong our assessments were
Yeah, it's kind of
of
funny how like we have the same predictions, but yeah, as you were saying, I'm very excited to see how this unfolds. Obviously now the next episode is probably gonna be after the ties and see how everybody is done, and then we can talk about it and see. Maybe we're gonna have a guest, maybe. I don't know. We'll see.
we'll have to see how it
Um,
goes. Yeah.
yeah, we'll see how it goes. But yeah, I'm really excited to see how this goes, and watching both legs would be amazing. So it'll be very entertaining, especially it's gonna be the last because next year's gonna be a different format. I don't know if you heard of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know going from the round of 16 to the finals may be the same that we used to. It's gonna be like group stages, and it's gonna be all messy, and we have to learn a new
Yeah.
system. But yeah,
I'm not I'm not really a fan of that. I'd much prefer things to stay in the current format. I think it is a lot more entertaining. It works. The new format's going to mean more games for teams, and players already have too many games in a season realistically. So you're throwing in, four more matches in the group stage per team, and you
it's a
know,
lot.
I don't know. I think it's going to take away some of the entertainment from the competition personally, but it's what's happening, and we have to get used to it. And let's just enjoy the Champions League in its current format while we can through the end of this season. This has been fun. This has been great. I've really enjoyed it. Hopefully everyone that's listening has enjoyed listening as well and hearing our opinions. And this is just our opinion. I mean, we're just two friends
Yeah,
talking about football.
yeah,
It's what we love to do. So
definitely. Like, I know for YouTube, subscribers, feel free to, to put your predictions in the comments. We'd love to know exactly what you guys think about, who's gonna win those titles, obviously. And we'll see exactly how accurate they are. But yeah, we'll see.
well, this has been great. I've enjoyed it. Hopefully you've enjoyed it too. And
So next time,
we will see you in the next episode. Take
see
care
you in the next
and
episode.
keep watching football.